Hello and welcome. This is Randy with Excel for Freelancers, and thanks for joining us. We have Data Import Manager number 7, where we have added the ability to save, update, load, and edit different data import templates, all based on your settings. We can easily update them, we can clear them, we can load them back up, and we can also have the ability to delete them, and it's going to save all of our data import template information. We've got a lot to cover in this episode, so let's get started. All right, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to try to get to it all today for the templates. If not, we'll continue next one, part 8. We've got templates to show you. And just to review, if you have not seen any one of the first 6, I'm going to include the links down below. Also, this workbook is absolutely free. All we got to do is find the links in the description below. Whether it's via email, we'll send you one, or whether via Facebook Messenger, we'll be able to get those workbooks right to you. Just click those links and we'll get them over to you absolutely free within just a moment. So let's get started on this training. I've got a lot to show you, but before we do, I want to make sure that you do get subscribed. I create these brand new training videos each and every Tuesday, around an hour long. Tons of great content on this channel, one of the best Excel for advanced, where we create amazing applications. So do be sure and subscribe to our channel, and of course click the notifications icon. That way you'll get notified for each and every video that we do create here on this channel. All right, upcoming, I do have some amazing news. The mentorship program is going to be released in just a week or two. I'm working on that, and that's going to show you how to design, define, build, and deploy your applications. Create brand new applications so you can have recurring income. That's going to be coming up shortly, so stay tuned for that. I'll be making announcements on this channel, along within our Excel for Freelancers Facebook group. Links down below if you haven't joined our group before, and of course on my website, email list, and through Facebook. So we'll make sure to get that news out to you as soon as it is launched. Be sure we've got some launch promotions, so you want to get in early on that. That's going to be brand new training. We're going to be creating a complete accounting application, invoicing. We're going to include inventory on that. We'll have chart of accounts, general ledger, reports, dashboard, inter-transaction, recurring transactions, multi-user, and on and on and on and on. So it's going to be a really fantastic training. I'm super excited to show that to you and get that to you. It's been a lot of hard work, and I know it's going to help you create recurring income. So it's going to be a really amazing program. I hope you join us on that. All right, let's get started with this week's training. I've added the ability to add templates, and this means that you can now select from multiple import templates, each with their own different information, each with their own data mapping, destination, and of course source, just by selecting and loading different templates. We have the ability to make any changes to that, and we have the ability to then update that template just by clicking update, and you'll see the messages right there. We also have to add brand new templates, clearing the existing template, giving the new one a name, as we are here. And then we can select a data source and a destination just as we would previously, and then save that information. If we have a import into a new workbook, we can save that as a template. It's now going to save it for the future. So we have that brand new. So we've got a lot to cover in this training. We've got a delete template. We also now have added update, and then if it's a clear template, we can save it. So we've got 3 different buttons on the existing and 1 button for a new template. As soon as we load a template, we're going to get the button set that allows us to update, clear, or delete. So we've got a few different button ranges and sets that we're going to show you, and all of the information is automatically saved. If we have previously created a mapping format, that's going to be saved as well. So when we load, if there is no mapping format, for example on this one, there's no mapping data, but if we go ahead and map that data, update that template, we're going to see that it's now available for next time. So when we click back to another one, and then we click back to test 4, you're going to see that now mapping data is exactly as we saved it. If we make a change on that specific row and then we update that, that change is going to be saved as well the next time we load it. All right, so we've got a whole lot to show you. We're going to get through as much as we can on this template feature, and then we'll clean it up, get whatever we did not cover, we'll cover in part 8, and then we also want to add automation on that. So it's a lot to cover. We're going to be covering one at automation, so that gives us the ability to automate this entire process, the importing data, so that it's unattended. We can do that. We're going to cover just templates in this, so let's get started. What do we have here? Well, first thing we have added, as you can see, we have a brand new drop-down list for templates. We have also added a brand new table called import templates, and we're going to show you how we map that data and how we created rows and specific for this. This particular brand new database is all based on our template. So all of our template information is stored in this table. We have a brand new template number and we have a template name. And then we have all of the other fields, including the source information. We have the destination information all the way over here. And then we have the last information here, like last column. So this is all for destination. So all of the information. However, you're saying, okay, well, what about mapped data? Mapped data is another dynamic database based on the template number. So for example, if we have a brand new worksheet here called data mapping database, and this contains all of our data mapping, all the information, it's all in one table, but we differentiate it using the template number. So all of these rows are focused for our template number 1. All of these rows are focused for template number 2, and all of these load. So what we do is when I want to load a template, we're going to use an advanced filter. So the criteria is the template number. So what we'll do is we'll put in the criteria here, and then I'm going to run a filter. It's going to go through all of this data, and I want to extract only those templates for number 4, template number 4. I'm going to put the results right in here. And then what I want to do is I want to take all this information and I want to bring it right back into this table, including the row number. This will be hidden eventually, and I'll change the font color on this to light blue so that it's completely hidden. But for now, we're going to keep it visible. So we're going to bring that, and we're also going to include the abbreviation values. I want those because I want to know the format abbreviation, so that helps us with the formatting. So that we now have the ability to save it, so that way you can do multiple imports that you do on a regular basis. Saving these in a template allows us to load these individual templates just by changing the name here in F2, and that's automatically going to load it. So it's really convenient, as opposed to having to add in your new source, add in the destination again, mapping the data again, changing your columns the way you want it, changing the formats the way you want it. Now it's automatically loaded in just one click here, one change of a cell, and it's all loaded in. So we're going to show you just how we did that. We're going to go through VBA. We're going to cover a lot. We have a little bit. Let's go over some named ranges that we have so far. In the import templates, this new, I've got 2 named ranges. One's going to be called template number, and one's going to be called template name, because I need to know that the template name, of course, is a drop-down list here, so we need that into a named range. If we look into the data and we see data validation, here we're going to see that this is template name, and that is connected to this template name. It's a dynamic named range, so that as we add data to this table, the template name will increase. So for example, if we were to go back into the template names, we were going to add one more here, we would see that that's automatically going to change. Into the name manager, and we'll scroll all the way down and look for template name here. We're going to tab over to that, and we will see that is based on the template number. Based on the template number, we're counting the template number. So close that. So it's based on so as soon as we add one here to the template number, we're counting the template number, because that's always going to have a value, back into the formulas in the name manager. And now we scroll down to the template name, and now we see it's all encompassed. Why is that? Because what we're going to do is we're going to counting all the way from A to A. Now A is the template number. We're counting all those, but we're starting in what? In column B3, calling it B3. Why are we starting at B3 and not B4? B4 is actually our first row of data. Well, the reason we do that is because an error would happen if there is no data at all in this table. Starting at B4 could create issues. It could create errors. So when we start at B3, but yet we're telling in this formula the offset one row down. Using this one, we're starting at one row down. The same thing with count A. We're going to count everything, including the header, but we're going to subtract one. I want to count them all, but we're subtracting one. And what this does is it starts at one down. Actually, one down, or counts one less than the total count because we're including the header. We include the header because that prevents errors when we have no data in the table. And then we're just going to have the same column. We do this same exact dynamic name range also into the template number here, except this time we're starting in column A. Column A, that's the starting column. So the only difference between these two is one is A, one is B3. So that's the two named ranges, template name and template number, that we've added on this. We're going to use those. We need to know the template number because we need to know exactly which template and which row. Now keep in mind, this starts on row 4. So when we want to know what row, let's say we have to find number 1 and it returns our first value, right? If I want to find out what is our number 1, let's say this is 1, right? And I want to know what row this template is on. I'm going to use a match on that. I'm going to match, so we're going to look up 1 and we're going to look template numbers, and we're going to look up template numbers. And we want an exact match on that, 0. So what's that going to return? It's going to return 1. But what if I want the row number? Row number is 4, so I need to add 3 to that. It's very important. That's going to give me the row number. I want to make sure to add row, because if we don't, it's just going to give us the first value, which is really important. We're going to show you exactly why that is important back here into the data managers. Now I've added some new fields all the way on the right. We're kind of out of space here on the left, so we've added some new ones on the right here. These are going to be hidden eventually. And we have some important details. These are all for our templates. These are template details. I want to know what template we've selected. So every time I load a template through VBA, I'm going to put the template number right here. N3 is right here. That is our template number. And we're going to use a match, and we're going to search template number, and we want an exact match. So that's going to give us where it's found. But when we add 3, it's going to give us the actual row number. If there's an error, it's going to show blank. So that means I want the template row. Template number 2 is row 5. Template number 2 is row 5. That's what I want to know. That's important. The next template number, I want to know that too. When we create a brand new template, I want to know what's the next up. And a lot of you struggle with this, but so I want to show it to you, right? If we're going in consecutive order, what's the next available template number? It's going to be 5. How do we know it's 5? Well, we can use the max plus 1 equals the max. What is the max? Max of all the template numbers. Template numbers, what is the maximum? Well, we know the maximum is 4, right? But what if we want to know the next one? So when we add 1 to that, we're going to get to the next one. So that's going to give us the next one. You have to make sure that all these are numbers. This only works, max only works in numeric values. So make sure that you don't have any text in here. It only works when we have numeric. So max plus 1, that is going to give us our next available template number. So in here into the data manager, we have this formula in tech. We have if error, surrounding by if error, max the template number plus 1, and then 1. Why do we have 1? Well, in case there is an error. Why would there be an error? There would be an error perhaps if there is 0 templates. If we remove all these or we clear those out, it's going to be an error because there are no templates. So in that case, what we're going to tell Excel is, hey, there are no existing template numbers, so make sure you defaulted to the first available, which would be 1. So we're going to tell it started off at 1. If there's an error, started at 1. That way our initial template will be 1 if we have no data in the table. Okay, and I also want to know the template name row. Why do I want to know that? I want to know, which is the same row, when a user selects a different template from here, I want to know what row this is. When I know what row this is, then I can add all the information. Then I can add the template number. Then I can add all the information associated with that. In this specific table here, I can add all the information. So that's very important. So we can add all that data. I need to know the row based on the name, based on this name. So these are almost the same except we're matching. So let's look at that. What is this? We're based it on F2. This time F2 is the template name here. Right here, F2, that is the name of the template, and we're going to look it up using a match template name, we want an exact match. And again, we're adding 3 because our data starts on row 4. So we always want to add 3 when we want that row number. So that's how we get all this information. That's going to help us in VBA because we need to load all the information. So I need to know what row to load it on. So both of these show 4, but they're both different purposes, right? We want to know once I load the row in here, once I load the template number in here, I know the template row based on the row. But if I don't have a template number in here, I'll need to default to the name the user has selected. So that's important. So we want to make sure we use independent and unique names for each template. So that's also important. All right, let's go into VBA and see how we've done that. The first thing I want to do is I want to show you how we update and save. And the good thing is I'm using the same macro. If we right click this, click assign macro, we'll see that there's been a macro called save update template. So save update template, but if we clear the template, we have a brand new button called save template. And we right click this button, click assign macro, we're going to see it's been assigned the same macro. So whether we're saving the template or whether we're updating the template, we're going to use the same macro, and I'll show you how we get around that because there's only a few differences between when we're saving a new or updating an existing, and I'll show you how to do that. We're going to go into that right now and see how we actually save an template and how we update an input. So let's go into the developers mode right here. Alt F11 is the shortcut that will get you there. So let's go into the Visual Basic, and I've got some workbooks open, just some source data. We can close these. That's not the import manager is the one we're going to be focusing on here, and I've got a brand new module called template macros, and I've got various macros. We're going to go over most of these today. We'll go over the save, update, and we will go over the clear template load. We have 2 different clear template. We have a delete, and maybe we'll do the load template next time. So let's go over this. So let's start it out with the save update template. That is the same macro that's been assigned to both the update and the save. That's the one we're going to focus on. So we're going to dimension some numbers here, some as long. The template number, we need to know what number the template is, and we need to know what row. That's very important if we're going to be loading the data. We need to know what row. And of course, we're going to go through the templates. I've used map data. Why do we need to know the template column? Because I'm using map data, and we're going to go through each column, starting out in column 1 and going all the way through. Going to use a for next loop starting here and going all the way to the end. And I'm going to show you what this map data is. In case you're not familiar with that, I'll walk you through that step. So we need to go through all of these and load each one. That cuts down when we're loading it, but we'll go over that, or when we're saving it. When we're saving it, I need to know that F2 is where the template name goes, right? So that's important. It's coming from F2 right here. And again, when we're going into whether it's a dynamic source, that's located in B2. So if we go back here and look under B2, we will see that our dynamic source, true or false, is located in B2. So that's going to be mapping data. Okay, so we need to know those columns. I need to go through those columns one by one, column A, and then they're going to be numbered. So we need to know the columns. Very, very important there. Okay, back into the VBA. The last map row, we have to run through our map. I need to know the last map row. What is that? Well, in this case, it's going to be probably 72, but that's very important here under the data manager. When we look map, I need to know that when we map the data, let's collect a source. Well, let's load up a template. We got it. When we load a source, we need to know the last map data, which is here. So we're going to run through this. We need to save all of this information into the database. So we need to know the last row. So that's why we've got the last map data here, the last map row, and the map row. We're going to run through that one by one by one. So we need to keep track of which one we're on. And the same thing with the map column. I need to know that. The map data row, that's the data row. What is that? That is the row that we're going to be focused on here. Mapping database. Our map is stored in a separate database because it's dynamic. The number, it can be dynamic. So we need to know which row we're going to be working on. So we need to cover that. All right, back into our VBA code. We've covered all the dimensions as far as the longs, and that's going to cover it. Now we also want to make sure that we actually have a template name. That is the only thing that was required for now. You may want to add more required. When we're saving or updating, the only thing that I have is required is F2. So if the user has not added a template name, we want to make sure that it's added. So when we clear the template, we try to save it, we're going to get a message saying, please make sure to add a template name. That is going to be required so that we can add that. So that's the first thing we need to make sure of. So if F2 is empty, that's the template name, then we want a message box to appear. Please make sure to add the template name. Then I'm going to direct the user directly to F2 so that we can select that, and then we're going to exit the sub out. We don't want to move any further if the user has not assigned a value to F2. Okay, moving on, we're going to primarily work with Sheet 2. Sheet 2 is our import templates. That's where our import templates are going to be saved. So we're going to focus on with Sheet 2. We also want to know, is it a new template or is it an existing template? Remember, the same macro, save, update template, we're going to use for both new and both updating, but I do need to know which one it is. Is it a new one? And we can use N4 to decide that. What is an N4? N4 is our selected template row. Remember, if this is blank, then we know there's an error. Why would there be an error? Because N3 is blank. N3 is blank. If we were to add a number in M3 that exists, it would automatically tell us the row. But if it's blank, that means we're focused on a brand new template. So that's going to tell us it's new. That means there is no template number. When, for example, when we load a template existing, it's going to automatically put a value in that. In our load macro, it's automatically going to put a value in there. So it's automatically, through the formula, it's going to be able to look up what row has been assigned to this template number. So we know that row 4 has been assigned to template number 1. So if it's blank, then we know that it has not been saved yet. So that is what we're going to use in our if-then statement to determine whether it's a new or an existing. So let's go back in our VBA code and see the differences between those two. If Sheet 4 is empty, then it's a new template. Else, it's an existing template. So there's 3 things we want to do if it's a new template. 3 different things. 1, 2, 3 right here. The first thing is I want to determine what row is the first available row for our template. So in this case, what would our first available row be? In our import templates, our first available row would be 8. So in this case, we're going to use AND XLUP to determine the last row, which is 7, then add 1, and it's going to tell us it's 8. So we do that in the code right here. Temp row, our template row is equal to dot range because we're focused on Sheet 2, so we don't need to call that sheet out anymore. We're going to use column A because that's the required one. That's the template row. We always want to use the row where there's always the column where there's always going to be a value. In this case, A is the column which will always have a value. No template can be saved without a number. So this column is always going to have a value. I guess template name as well, but everyone else theoretically could have a blank. So we always want to use the column that has always going to have a value. In this case, it's A. So we're going to look for the last row and add 1 onto that. So dot range A and LXUP row, that's going to get us the last row with a value, and adding 1 is the next available. That is the first available template row. So we're going to put that, in this case, it would be 8. So we've got that now in the variable here. Next up, Sheet 8, I want to put that number right in here. Sheet A and the template row value equals, what does it equal? N5. That is the new template number. I want to put that new template number right in A. So what am I doing with that? Let's go over that. I'm going to take whatever is in here, N5. Remember, that is using the max. That is our next available template number. And what do I want to do? I want to put that right here in A8. So that's what we're doing here, putting that template number right here. That's what we're doing in that step, because that we're only going to do for new templates. If it's an existing, we're not going to do that step because it's already been previously added. The next step, I also want to put in the template number. Now I want to put in N3. I want to put in that template number. I want to put it in, what is it? I want to put whatever's we just put in A in the template row, I want to put in N3. So what is that? In this case, if we have just added 5 here, I want to take that 5 and I want to place it right in here under the template number here. So I want to put that in N3. That's going to give us right away our template row here as well as there. So I want to put that brand new template number right in the selected template number into N3. So that is what we will be doing there in that line of code. Okay, let's move on. So that's that will take care of that. That adds a new template. That's all the three things that we need to do for the new templates. But what if it's an existing template? In that case, the template row, template row is going to be whatever's in N4, because that's already been calculated, because it's N4. Let's look at here. N4, this value is not empty, right? We know it contains, if it's an existing, it contains a row. So in that case, we just have to see what N4 contains, and that is our template row, because that's what would be for an existing template. All right, so we have existing template here. So now we have everything we have differentiated between either new and existing. The rest is the same. Everything else is the same, whether it's a new template or an existing template. Everything else in this macro. So we've just differentiated between the two. If it's a new template, we're going to do these three things. If it's an existing template, we're going to do this. And that's all we have. The next step, everything else is the same. So the template number equals A. We're going to assign the template number. What is A? Whether that's an existing or we just added it, it's going to be an A no matter what, the template row. And then we're going to run a loop. What do I want to do? What I want to do is I want to run a loop from 2 to 27. Y2, Y27. Let's go over that. Well, I want to start here in this column right here, equals column. This is column 2, of course. And I want to run a loop, and I want to go all the way to the last column. The last column is 27. How do we know that? Just using equals column will tell us what column it is, 27. So I want to go all the way. I want to run a loop from 2 to 27, and what do I want to do? I want to take whatever, I want to look here in row 1 here, whatever is here is the value. So for example, let's say we're saving this. So I want to save whatever is here, or whatever's here in F2, and I want to save that here. How do I know? We're going to go through F2, B2. So we're going to look in F2, whatever's in F2 right here, and we're going to place it right here. Whatever's in B2 on sheet 1, and we're going to place it here. Whatever is in E8 on sheet 1, we're going to place it here. So we're going to go through a loop, and whatever is in this cell, we're going to place it right here. Whatever's in this cell, we're going to place here. So that's how we use data mapping. We're going to go through every single cell in row 1, all the way from column 2 to 27, and do the same thing. And that only takes 3 lines. It's a really simple loop, so it's a lot less. Otherwise, we'd have to put in 27 different lines of programming, and that's a lot. But now we've reduced it down to 3. What are those 3? It's a simple for next loop. For the temporary column equals 2 to 27, I've just described with you why we're using 2 to 27, and what are we going to do. First of all, the cells, we know we're with sheet 2. The cells, what is that? What row? The temporary row, we know what row, and what column. Remember, this is a loop, so it's going to go 2, 3, 4, all the way to 27. So in this sheet 2, the row, what are we doing? We're going to save information into that cell. What are we going to save? We're going to save whatever is in sheet 1 and the range. What is the range? The range that we're looking for is also in sheet 2, but it's on the first row. And the column is going to go 2, 3, 4. So whatever is in this here, whatever's here, for example, F2, B2, A2, whatever's here, we're going to save it in sheet 1. Sheet 1 is going to take this information and put it right here. Let's go over that again. It's a little bit confusing. So we're going to look, because data mapping is very, very important because it saves you a ton of time. So we're going to look in, let's just say F12. F12 is 4. There's a value of 4 there, right? So when we go to the import template and we're going through our loop and we see F12 here, we're going through this loop and say, okay, let's look in F12, and whatever's in F12, we're going to place it. Let's assume our template is row 7. Whatever's in F12, let's place it right here, which is 4. Whatever is in I21, let's place it here. Whatever's in F13, place it here. So if F13 contains a 1, we're going to place it right here. So we look in F13, which is right here, and we're going to take that 1 and we're going to place it right in here. So we're going to do that through the loop. So we just go through and data mapping, make sure that these always contain values. When you have errors in data mapping, it's because this probably is missing a value or something like that. So make sure we want to do that. Make sure we're using row 1, and then eventually we'll just hide this row. And then you have a nice table. You don't need to display that row, but for our purposes today, I want to show you. I don't want to hide them for you because this is a training exercise. So we're going to do that. That's data mapping, and that allows us to bring all of this, a full row of this table, all the way into our database. And that's whether it's the source data, whether that's the destination data, we're going to bring all that information in from that database. Map row is different. So we'll go with that in just a second. So that's how we do that. All right, so we've covered that now. So we go through all the way, we loop that out. Why we don't use column 1? Because column 1 is the template number. We've already placed that right here in the previous lines of code right here into N3. So we don't need to do that. That's where we can start out at number 2. We don't need to start out because we've already placed the template number where it belongs. So we can start with the template name and move on, starting in column 2. Okay, great. I'm glad we got that. We show you how we've loaded that. Let's continue on. Now we're ready to do the map data. Okay, so let's look at that and see how we do that. Now we're ready to update the data mapping. So now we're going to we've done with sheet 2, the template data, and now we're going to focus on sheet 1. We're going to focus on the map data, and I want to know the last map row. Now what do we want to do? What I want to do is I want to take all of this data here and and this data right here, this column right here. So these are all just formulas. These stay the same, but this is dynamic value. Sometimes it's a formula, sometimes it's a value. So I want to take this information, and I want to take this information, and I want to place that right in this table, somewhere in this table. I want to place it. If it's been saved already, I want to find whatever row it's been saved and I want to update it. But if it hasn't been saved yet, I want to put it in the first available row and go down here. And how do we know whether it's been saved or not? Well, what I'm doing is I'm putting the row right here. So for example, if you see product ID, the first row of data, column 1A general, that's been saved in row 3 of our data mapping table. So if we look row 3, we see template 1, product ID, column A, general. So that's been saved. We know it. Why is that important? Because if I make a change and I say, okay, I want to change that to do not import, and I want to up that template, I want to make sure that change is also changed in the database. I want to make sure it's changed right here. You see it just changed. Now, if we change that back, map the data in column A, if we change that up and we click update, we want that updated as well. Right here, back in here, we want it updated back to column A. So that's important that we have that. We have the ability to make changes. But if it hasn't been saved, I want to put it in a new row here. So this is how we know. We know if there's a value here, it's already been saved. If we have a brand new template, let's clear this template out. Then we select the destination. We can say import into new workbook, and we map the data, and you'll see that there's no values here because this has not been saved yet, right? It's a brand new mapping. There's nothing been saved here. Of course, we haven't saved it as a template. We haven't assigned a name, but you'll see new templates don't have this information. So there's nothing here. But as soon as we save it, you're going to see that those automatically get assigned. Now it's been assigned rows. So now we know as soon as we update it, it assigns those rows. So you'll see now we have number 5 has been assigned these new rows all the way here. So if they're not existing, we'll assign them. And let me show you how we do that inside the VBA. Going back up here, the last map row, I need to know the last map row. That's very important so we can map it. And in this case, our last map row is 72, but it's going to use endlxup and determine what the last row is, because we're going to have to loop starting at 65 and going to the last row. We're going to need to loop through all of these and make sure this data is all saved. So we need to know what the last row is, but we need to define that using endxl up. So we've done that right here. The last potential value would be D164. So that's going to get us our last mapped row. If the last map row is less than 65, then go to no map data, right? If there's no map data at all, we're going to skip all of this and go right to here. Assuming that there is map data, we can continue on. If K and the map row equals empty, then it's a new map data row. If it's empty, right, that is our database row into our map column. If K is empty, we know it has not been saved yet. So we need to save that. Where are we going to save it? We're going to save it at our first available row, which would be right here, 35. We have to assign it a row. So we need to do that in the code because it hasn't been saved yet. So if K in the map was empty, then we're going to do all of this because it's a new row in the database. But if it's an existing, we just need to get it from K. So if it's an existing, we know that K contains the value. So we could say the map row is equal to whatever's in K. But if it's not, if K is blank, then we need to do these 4 things. What are those 4 things? Well, the first thing in the map data row is we're going to assign that to sheet 5, which is our data mapping table, A99999 and XLF plus 1, right? Plus 1. This will get us the last row with a value. Adding 1 gives us the first available data map row. So we can put that into the variable here. And then I can put that, once I have that row, I can put it into K. Now K has it. K in the map row equals that map data row. So now we know it. And now what I also want to do is I want to assign the template. Every row, must have a template number. We have to know what template number, 1, 2, 4, whatever, is connected. So I want to put that template number for new ones. If it's an existing, it'll already have it. I want to put that new template row right here into this column. So A and the template row gets the template number. Where is it coming from? The template number is going to come right from here. Whatever is in N3, we're going to put right here into A. So I want to put that template number in right there. So we do that in the code. So here, sheet 5A and the map data row equals the template number. We've already defined the template number all the way up here in here, right here. So we've already assigned it up into our macro right here. Previously, actually, it came from A, came from the template row, but it could have come from N3 as well. So either one, they're both the same. So we've already defined it here, so that's no problem. So we can just add the template number into A. And then also I want to add the row H and the row. That's going to track the row. What is the row? Well, I want to know the database row. We're putting that into the database right here. H contains the data row. This is just simply a formula that's going to tell us our row. This is important, very important, because when we run an advanced filter, that row is going to be carried over here. And that if we need to edit the original data, we have the row. We know the row. This row is also going to be carried right back into our data right here. That row is going to be carried right back into there. So we know the original data row. So it's important that we always have the row number of the database. So if we need to make any changes to this, then we need to know exactly what row we're making those changes on, so that when we update it and save it, that row 27 column format gets changed to number. So when we look at row 27 of our data and search over here, we know that it's been changed to number. So that's very important. So it's been changed automatically to number when we click update. All right, moving on in our code. So now we have sheet 5. We know why we have the row. That's important. If it's an existing, it would already have a row. We only need to add that once. Now we are ready to run another loop from 4 to 9. Why are we running a loop? Let's take a look at that into the map area of our code. So we can see here 4, column D is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I want to run a loop and I want to go through here. So I want to loop through each column and take whatever's information in here and I want to put it right in here, all the way in here. Then what I want to do, so that's important. So we want to put that information in there. So let's take a look at how we start that loop out with those 5 columns. And now we're going to say sheet 5, which is our database for our templates. The map data row, we know what row we're on, right? That's the row, whether it's a new row or an existing. We've already defined it here or here. So we've got the map row. And the map column -2. Why are we doing the map? Why is the map column -2? I'll show you. So the map columns goes from 4 to 9, right? 4 to 9. And I've told you why we're going from 4 to 9 here in our data. Because of 4, 5, 6, these are column numbers. But what I want to do is I want to take this column, source column here, and I want to place it right here. I want to place it right here. Well, what column is this? This is B. This is column 2. So if I know that our original column is going to be column 4, but our destination column is column 2, we're going to subtract 2. This is column 5, and then it goes to 3. This is column 3, but it's coming from column 5. It's coming from column 5 and going into column 3. So we just need to subtract 2 so we keep the columns right. Because our source column, in this case it's 2. Our source column here, first row of data, is column 3, and it's coming from column 5. So we need to subtract 2. So we can do that using this loop right here. Okay, so in this case, map data column, -2. What is this value, sheet 5? What is it equal to? It's equal to the map row of the map column in the data map. So for example, let's move back this. Let's say we know we want to update the row here. We want to update this, or we want to update this, or let's say general. So if we know this is column 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, column 6, that's what I want to change. So if we make a change, we change that to number. So when we update that, we know exactly where to update that. Right here, it changes to number. It's just 2 columns over. So that's basically how we do. We just kind of create this update, and it goes through each one, and we know it's column 34. We know it's row 34. We know it's the same column as here, except it's -2. So if this is column 6, we subtract 2, it's column 4. All right, so we know how we save the map data to the database. We know how we get the row. If there's no row associated, it would add a new one automatically based on that information. Let's continue on with the macro. Next up, there's 2 other information that I want to update, and that is I through L. I want to copy over the cell formula from I to L. What is that? Well, I want to copy that information over from I to L. If we look in L, that is our abbreviations. I want to take this information and I want to bring it over into I, column I here. I want to bring it over right here. So all we're going to do is we're going to take the value. We're just going to bring it right here. So we use that. And then we have one last line of code, and that is J. J should equal the map row. I want to put the map row in column J. What is that? Why is that? So the reason we do that is because I want to, here's the map row here. I want to know what row we're putting it. So when we come back, for example, this is row 72, this is row 71. So when we bring it back into the data, it goes back into the same row. You notice this is row 72, this is row 71, 70. So we need to know what row it should come back into, because when a user saves it in a specific order, I want to bring it back to the exact row it was previously. This is row 65. So I want to know what row it was saved into. So that's important also. Notice this is all in row 72. So I want to save that row 72. I want to save it there too. And I'm going to put it right here because I want to know what row, because when we bring it back, I want to know when we run our advanced filter and we want to take all this data, I need to know what row should I put it in, 65, 66, 68, 70, 72. So we need to know what rows. So saving the original row is very important for us to bring it back. All right, let's continue on with the macro. So now we have that. Now I want to do, so we just run through that loop. All for every row in our mapped row, we're going to run through that loop. Right here for every row starting at 65 all the way to 72, we're going to do that. All that does is going to take this information, take every line of information, and it's going to save it into this table right here, whether it's an existing row or a brand new row. We're going to save it. So that's where it's loading up. That's where it's saving to, because we want to bring it back next time. So we got to save all of that information. That's very, very important. So we can do that. So that, because that's going to allow us to bring it back when we cover the load macro, it's going to let it bring us back. The next up now, since we've saved it, we know it's going to be an existing, no longer a new template. That's for sure. Maybe we're saving existing. So what I want to do is I want to display these 3 buttons. These 3 buttons are only displayed for existing templates. If it's a new template, we'll show something else. So I've created a group of all these buttons, and I've given that group name called existing template group. That is the name that we're assigning to that, and those are 3 individual buttons in that group. So I want to display that group. What I want to hide is this one. When we clear the template, there's another button that I want to hide, and that's called Save as Template. This template, Save Template button here, this one I only want to display when we have a brand new import. When we have a brand new import, I want to show this one, because the only option the user wouldn't have, they wouldn't be able to delete it, they wouldn't be able to update it, and they wouldn't be able to clear it. So we really only want this button. The only choice they have is to save it in this case. And when they click Save It, it goes back to the existing. Or when they load a template, it goes back to the existing as well. So when they click Update, I want to make sure that these 3 buttons, this button set is displayed. The existing template group is displayed, and the other button is hidden. So we do that with just those 2 lines of code. We are going to take the shapes save template button. We're going to make sure that's hidden using .visible equals MSO false. And the next thing we want to do is I want to go through shapes, existing template group visible equals true. I want to show the existing template group. That's the one I want to show. So these 2 buttons, they're not going to show at the same time. One's going to be hidden always. In this case, save is hidden because that's only used for new templates. And for existing templates, I want to show this. This is the 3-button group. This is the group that says update or save. This is the group that's delete or clear. So that's it. And then the last thing in this macro is that we're going to have a brand new save template message. That's a macro that gives us our fade out message. I've shown you save out message, but you may not have seen it. Let me show you that again. When we click update, you'll see this message template save. It's a little bit fast, but you get the idea. You see that? That's a fade out message, and we'll make it a little bit slower so you can see it. Let's go into the macro, and we're going to look for this. When we right click this and then we click the definition, which is a little bit off your screen, we're going to see this module called fade out messages. And I have this fade out messages, and let's add a little bit more of a delay on it, like 9, make it a little bit slower. Let's see if that makes a difference, enough of a difference where you can see it. We click update template, it's a little bit slower there. So that gives you an idea, and it fades out this message, which is kind of new. The fade is kind of not really there. We can add more to the fade, but so we can do even more. We can add this to 200. What this is going to do is going to bring the transparency down to a certain level. So it's a really, really nice feature. So let's take a look at it now. It should be a lot slower now. Yeah, it's a bit too slow. So that gives us the ability to show a specific template automatically. So that gives us the ability to show a button and then hide a button. So that's a very nice feature because that's what I want to do. So let's go into that. So what we're going to do is we're going to dim I as integer and delay as a double, because that's going to do. And what we can do is we can set a timer. So let's set the visible equals true with this button template save. This is a button. That is the same button. Let's take a look at that button just so you see what that is. We'll go into the select, which is here, the selection pane. You can also see the selection pane under page layout here and click selection pane. You can find it there. And if we scroll up, we will see a template saved button here sliding over. When we make those visible, we can see that this template saved. All it is a shape, and then I've added an icon onto that. So we have a little bit of icon there, and that's going to give us our button. It's just the picture, a shape, and a picture put together. And maybe if it was just a shape, it'd show a little bit more of a fade out. But I like the icon there. All right, so we have that, and we've given it the name. Of course, that's the name called template saved. I've given it that name. And what that's going to do is make it visible and then hide it based on the delay. So we run that delay, we make it visible, and then we're going to run a delay for I equals to 200. You can change this to whatever. You can control the speed, you control the transparency. And I think when you combine it with the icon, as I do, the transparency, but if it was just the shape alone, let's change that. Let's make it to just the shape alone and get rid of the icon, because I want to show you that. We'll get rid of the icon here because let's ungroup that. And then we'll just move the icon over here, and then I'm going to reassign this name here back to the template saved. We'll give it this name here. Now we've done. Now we give it the name again. Now we get the fade out. Now you see there's more of a fade out, but because I added the icon, it was grouped with a picture, so it didn't really work. So this gives you the kind of a fade out. I guess we can keep that off, but I still like the look of it. But if you don't want to fade out, you can add the icon. So that gives you an idea of how we can add a fade out message to that. So let's continue on with that fade out macro. It's a really, really cool feature. So I use it frequently. So we're going to take the transparency and the delay. Along with the delay, it decreases the transparency, or I should say increases the transparency based on a timer, and then it's going to do those events while the start time is less than the delay. And basically all you need to know is it's going to just run a little bit of a timer, and you can increase or decrease the time. You can increase or decrease the delay here by changing the number of seconds. And then at the end, the last thing what it does is it makes it invisible. It takes that shape and makes it invisible or hides it. So this, we've gone through this before, but this little save message, I've got the same thing for delete message, which we're going to go over next time. So we run this macro template saved message. So that is how we get the save and update template. All right, it's been really great to show you how we do this. I know it's been a little confusing. We've got a lot to do this. Let's go over one more clear template load. I've got two different clear templates. I've got a clear template and one on load. Why is that? Well, one, if I clear the template out, if I just run clear template, I want it to delete everything in that particular form. So I want all the source data, all the destination, including the name. But if I load another one, if I load a template, I want to clear everything out before I load it, but I don't want to clear out the name. So I've run two different macros. One macro, when we change this, I want to run the clear out, but I don't want to delete F2. I want to keep that same. But when we clear the template, I want to clear out everything, including F2. So there's a little bit of a difference between those two macros, just so you can see. So let's go over them. One, we're doing on change. On change of a specific F2, we want something to happen. And what do we want to happen? Well, what I want to do is I want to run a macro. So let's take a look into the data import. This is the specific on sheet macro that we're running on sheet, and we're making a change on F2. If F2 is nothing and F2 value does not equal MP, we want to make sure that the user has actually entered a value. If we're just deleting something in F2, we wouldn't want to load a template because there is no value to load. So as long as F2 contains a value, then we want to load the template. We're going to go over this macro next time, but load template is going to load the template on that. And inside that load template, we have that macro. But what if we just want to clear the macro? I want to clear it all out. I want to run a macro. When we right click clear template, we will see that assigned macro is called clear template. Clear template. That's going to clear everything. Let's take a look at that macro. It's basically relatively simple. We're just clearing a lot and resetting a lot of the features. So into the module called template macro, and we see clear template. Now this one's going to include F2. Remember, F2 is cleared. That's the name. So we're going to clear out all those fields. The first thing I want to do is I want to set N6 to true. Why is that? Well, if you understand, we're making changes to all these fields. We're clearing it out. Now, sometimes things happen when we make a change, but in this kind of change, the kind of change where we're just deleting everything, I want to differentiate between certain changes. So we're just going to set N6 to load. I want to set N6 to true while those changes are happening, and then I want to change it to false once we're done. So that macro is going to end with it going back to false, and I'll show you why that's important earlier. So because when we go certain changes, if we make certain changes, for example on this one here, I-29 on get destination worksheet, what happens there? Get destination worksheet. We went over this last time, but I want to go with you again. On change of I-29, let's look at that real quick. I-29 on change of this, right? We want something to happen. We want to know, get the destination worksheets. We want to know if the user has made a change or if it's a new worksheet or something like that. So for example, if we browse for a destination worksheet, and we click OK, and now we're going to be changing. We want to know if it's a new worksheet. I want to add some things in. So there's some macros that run when we change I-29, but I only want this kind of macro to run. If we're clearing the template, I don't want any macro to run. So that's how I want to differentiate between clearing these fields and actually a user making a change, making a specific change to these fields. So that's why we use F6 to know if those changes were happening. So let's go back into the macro and take a look at this. Let's go back here to the template macros, and then we're going to set this back to false right here. So during all of these changes, we want to differentiate. I don't want anything else to happen. So N6 tells us if it's true, nothing's going to happen. Okay. So we're going to clear out a lot of fields. We're going to clear out destination data. We're going to clear out the source fields. We're going to clear the mapping data. We're going to clear the import summary message. We're going to delete any data validation. We're going to set mapping to incomplete. Remember, I want to know whether something's been mapped or not. We're going to change that to false to make sure it's not. We're going to set back to default to a static source. We're going to default to resource to an existing workbook, just setting certain defaults. You can change these. So when we clear, we're setting things back to certain defaults. And then we're going to set the source destination has headers, A6 and B. So we're setting all these defaults back to the original, the way we want them. And then, of course, what we're doing is I want the save template button. I want that to be true because it's a new one. And the shape's existing template, I want to hide that. It's no longer an existing template. It's going to be a brand new one. So we want to hide the existing. And then I want to go to import step 1. That's a macro that's going to send us to import step 1. So even if we're on map data and we click clear template, it's going to go back to tab 1. It's going to clear out all the source fields. It's going to set the data headers back to has headers, set this default back to has headers. Here it's going to set the destination to existing words. It's going to set a lot of defaults. It's going to clear out all the map data, and it's going to clear out the summary here. So it's going to clear out all these fields and get us ready to enter a brand new template automatically so that we can enter it. Now, of course, if we load a template, it's going to change it all back, and it's going to whatever was saved previously. Clearing it out clears it all out. All right, so we see the difference now between clearing and saving, clearing a template and saving a template. We can see that through the macro here. So let's go back into that macro under the templates. And we have the last step, which was go to step 1. So that's how we clear the templates, and we know now how we save templates. Next time on part 8, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how we delete a template, and we're going to show you macros on how we load templates. So we've got a lot to cover. I know it's a bit confusing, but if you hang with me here, also please don't forget to download this workbook so you can see for yourself exactly how this works. There's still a few bugs in here. We still got to work out a few details here. I've got to work out when I select a dynamic source data. There's a few small issues because we want to make sure that we dynamically create the rows based on the first option, the first specific. So if we have, for example, a dynamic source, what I want to do is I want to pull in when we have specific details. I want to then pull in, take the first specific workbook that is found in a specific folder. So if we have a source files, I want to take the first available workbook, whatever meets all these conditions, and add in these dynamically. I think that would be really cool. So we're going to do that. So when we select a source data, we automatically get that information here. So I want to make sure that we do that with dynamic as well. You notice how that we dynamically get the first row data, first column, and all that information. So we want to bring that in when we have dynamic source ready. So we're going to cover that as well. We'll get to that and the others as far as deleting the templates and loading it. So we've got a lot to cover. Thanks for sticking with me on this. I know it's a long series. We're going to cover part 8, and then we're going to go over how we can import these automatically through recurring and timed specific imports. So it's going to be great training. We've got a lot to cover. And then the last few series, we're going to probably go over 2 more training before we end this data import and move on to something else. So let me know in the comments and your thoughts. I appreciate you sticking with us. It's been a great training, and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much.